a family member, my maternal grandmother, developed memory problems before her death. And as a teenager, I helped, in a sense, I did not understand then, but I was a secondary caregiver, providing sort of support in activities for my mother when she was providing assistance to her mother.
My personal interest in Alzheimer's disease stems from the fact that I find it to be the scariest disease. Not only does it affect, could it affect my son's life, for example, robbing him of his grandparents, but it also affects my life. I'm very scared about what might happen down the road to me and my spouse, but also generations to come. This is such an important disease for us to study, understand, even prevent for the future health of our nation, our economy, and of course of our people.
I think the reason I'm interested in the afflictions and maladies of old age is that my parents married too young. They married as teenagers, and some of our growing up years were spent with a constellation of white-haired ladies whom I grew to adore. And so as my research career unfolded, it was only in retrospect that I understood that I was drawn very naturally to the concerns that might preoccupy older people.
If a person suspects that they may be suffering a change in their memory or a decline in their ability to think, however you want to phrase that, or if you suspect your loved one is, I would strongly encourage them to seek a clinical evaluation. The reason, on the one hand, may seem obvious. Well, wouldn't you want to know if that was the beginning stages of Alzheimer's disease? But there are some people who make the point, I don't want to know. After all, you can't cure it, so isn't ignorance bliss? The real compelling argument to me is that in addition to Alzheimer's disease, there are a wide variety of diseases that can affect the brain. Most of what the brain does is involved with thinking. So anything from a brain tumor to a stroke to an infection to an inflammatory disease to Alzheimer's disease, all of these are different categories of diseases that can affect the way we think. Unfortunately, some of them we do not have a cure for, such as Alzheimer's, which is why research is so important for a disease like Alzheimer's. But there are others in which we do have therapies and even some cures for. So the single most important thing a person can do is recognize that they are having a problem, and it's a part of the body that we definitely want to make sure we've figured out what's wrong, because it's be terrible to suffer more loss than was absolutely necessary in trying to reach an answer and instigate treatment.
Well, I think if anybody is concerned about whether they might have a memory problem, or a family member brings it up, or their own doctor brings it up, that should be sufficient trigger to get an evaluation. Peek under the hood, is there an issue or not? A fair number of the people we see are what we call worried well. You know what, you're fine, here's some suggestions about how to keep your brain healthy. And then for people who have concerns, there are very specific interventions that can help.
We all complain about our memory. I mean, you just can't not notice that your memory changes over time. But whether that's a normal change or a change that's kind of typically seen amongst people, or whether it really represents something that's a problem, is really hard to tell. And it's really difficult for people to assess by themselves or by the opinions of their friends and family. So that's why we're here. I mean, that's why we do the studies we do, is we gather enough information about enough people from all diverse walks of life so that we can understand whether somebody's memory problem really represents a problem or whether it's just something that we all have to deal with as we get older.
I think the chief thing that I would say to a caregiver is it is essential that you find ways also in this journey to take care of yourself. Because if you don't find ways to take care of yourself, then when you become ill or you're impacted, you won't be able to provide the type of assistance that you want to. It's really the oxygen mask saying, that is when you're on the plane, you're asked to put the mask on yourself first so that you can assist others. And so there really is an important message there for family members who are providing care or assistance to a loved one, that it is absolutely imperative that you find ways to take care of yourself and keep yourself healthy so you can maintain your own quality of life as well as the quality of life of your loved one.
I think it would help if people knew about the Arizona Alzheimer's Registry. This is a matching device. If you're 50 or older and you live in the area and you think you might like to contribute somehow to research in any way related to dementia, you can sign up by mail and actually have some screening over the telephone and be matched to existing studies across the state. There are 65 studies going right now, so we can help link you to those studies. If there is no study that's a good fit for you now, we can hold you in the pen for future referral.
And really, for people who are interested in Alzheimer's disease, who think that they may have the beginning stages, or maybe they see it in a family member, or for those who just want to raise their hand and say, I want to help out with the study of Alzheimer's disease, the Arizona Alzheimer's Consortium Registry is a great place to start. And that can be found out by visiting the Arizona Alzheimer Consortium's website, and there's a button that you can click and go immediately into the registry system and raise your hand and volunteer to help.
We got into this field because we believe in what we do and we're passionate about it, and we just hope that we can continue on to make some gains, because I think that the community really does benefit from what we really do here in Arizona.
Arizonans should really be proud of this resource. The Arizona Alzheimer's Consortium should really be a place of pride. They're doing lots of clinical trials, testing as many drugs as the infrastructure within Arizona can handle, and it's really one of the top centers throughout the country. Additionally, the basic science that stands behind that clinical science and supports it is really world-class.
In the consortium, we have neurologists who see the patients and record their signs and symptoms. We have psychologists who administer complicated test batteries to probe the functions of the mind. We have imaging scientists who take different pictures of the living brain in many different ways. We have lab scientists who look at the brain after death to see what is the chemistry of the disease. We have pathologists like myself who do a final diagnosis on the brain, and we've got statisticians who analyze all the data, the mountains of data, help us all get through that. So it really takes a big team, and that's the way we're going to make the advances. And of course the goal is to find early diagnostic methods for Alzheimer's disease and come up with preventative treatments.
I think any Arizonan would be proud to know that these centers of excellence are cooperating so readily, and we all share the notion that all boats will rise. So even if we're doing similar work, we manage to do it in a non-competitive way. That's better for everyone, and it's particularly notable that that spirit of cooperation has led to considerable success in bringing external resources to the state, from the federal government, from the pharmaceutical industry, from philanthropists, and it's been such a successful beginning that we're all totally satisfied now that it's the way to go forward.